Good morning. In my previous video, I had discussed the marks distribution. I had discussed that how many questions will be there, how many groups will be there. Actually, I told in my last video that the purpose of making this video is being targeted the examination, forthcoming examination, Madhyamik examination of 2023. I had in my previous video elaborately discussed that there will be 5 groups in exam A, B, C, D and E. I had discussed in details that how many questions will be there in group A, B, C, D and E. Yesterday I have told that there will be 90 total marks, full marks will be 90, and there will be 54 questions you all have to give out of 67 questions from group A to group E. 67 questions will be asked, and out of 67 questions you have to attend 54 questions, and you will be given 3 hours 15 minutes, and out of this 3 hours 15 minutes you have to complete writing within this stipulated time. Now let us discuss the other very important thing of the distribution of question from chapters. Most of the students, when I was taking the class, student had asked, "Sir, I don't know that from chapter number 1 how many marks of question appear of MCQ. Sir, I don't know that how many marks of question of very short answer come from chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and likewise." So for the convenience of the students, I have prepared, I have researched and found out total details that from chapter number 1 to 8 MCQ, how many marks of MCQ comes from chapter 1 to 8, how many marks of question of very short answer come from chapter number 1 to 8, how many marks of question come of short answer from chapter number 1 to 8, and so on and so forth. Now let us come to the main point, and we will see of group A. In group A, MCQ 20 MCQ will be there. Now the question is that from chapter number 1, 2 MCQ will come. Please may I have your attention. Only 2 MCQ will appear from chapter number 1. 3 MCQ will appear from chapter number 2. 2 MCQ will come from chapter number 3. 3 MCQ will come from chapter number 4. 2 MCQ will come from chapter number chapter number 5. 3 MCQ will come from chapter number 6. 3 MCQ will come from chapter number 7, and 2 MCQ will come from chapter number 2. So see that 20 MCQs are there, and I have distributed that from what chapter how many MCQs are coming. If we come to group B, in group B, very short answer. Okay, I had discussed in my last video that group B, in group B 5 subgroups will be there. Subgroup A, subgroup B, subgroup C, subgroup D and subgroup E. And over there students must understand that in group A there will be a answer in a complete sentence, group B true false, group C matching, and group D map pointing, and group E there will be a statement and interpretation. Now see that there from chapter number 1 2 questions will come of group B, 3 questions will come from chapter number 2, 3 questions will come from chapter number 3, 3 questions will come from chapter number 4, 2 questions will come from chapter number 2, chapter number 5, and 3 questions will come from chapter number 3, chapter number 6, and 3 questions will come from chapter number 7, and 1 question will come from chapter number 1. I have told you 5 subgroups will be there. Answer in one a complete sentence, true, false, matching, map pointing, and statement and interpretation. So it can it may be asked from anywhere. Okay, like two true false will be there. Okay, two true false will be there. One statement and interpretation will be there. Okay, from chapter 5, one matching may come, or one statement or interpretation will come. As far as map pointing is concerned, okay, I have seen the previous year question that from chapter number 3 and chapter number 8, generally map pointings are given from there. If we talk about short answer, group C, here 16 questions will come. Okay, and out of 16 you have to attempt 11, and each question will carry 2 marks. Okay, over there in group C it is written that you have to attempt all 6, means out of 16 you have to attempt 11 questions. Okay, so from each chapter 2 questions will be asked, and each question will carry 2 marks. So from group 1 to 8, each question from each chapter 2 questions will come. Okay, and out of this 16 you have to attempt only 11 questions, and each question will carry 2 marks. If we talk about group D, that is analytical answer, each question will carry 4 marks, as I have told you in my previous video, that altogether there will be 8 questions, and out of 8 you have to attempt 6. 4 subgroups will be there, and 1 question you have to attempt. From each group you have to attempt 1 question, and altogether total 6 questions you have to appear. 6 questions you have to attempt. Now, if we see that from chapter number 1 and 2, 2 questions will come. Now, students, listen very carefully. From chapter number 1 and chapter number 2, each question will come from each chapter. Suppose that from chapter number 1 question appears for 4 marks of group D. From chapter number 2, 1 question appears from chapter number 2. But it may happen, I have seen the previous year question and model question, that sometime from chapter number 2 questions appear from chapter number 2. 1 question from chapter number 1 question has not appeared. Okay, so you have to be prepared already that question may appear from chapter number 1 for 4 marks. From chapter number 2, 1 question may appear for 4 marks. But it may happen that from chapter number 1, 2 questions appear for 4 marks. Or from chapter number 2, 2 questions appear for 2 marks. Now, if we talk about subgroup 2, so here from chapter number 3 and 4, 2 questions would come. From chapter number 3, 1 question. From chapter number 4, 1 question. Or from chapter number 3, 2 questions would come. From 4, no question would come. And or it may also happen that from chapter number 4, 2 questions would appear. Okay. If we talk about chapter number 5 and 6, okay, from chapter number 5, 1 question would come of 4 marks, and from chapter number 6, 1 question would come. But as I have told you earlier formula may be repeated here. If we talk about chapter number 7 and 8, okay, 1 question would come from chapter number 7, or 1 question would come from chapter number 8. Or, as I told you just now, that formula may be repeated. If we talk about group E, okay, group E, if we talk that explanatory answer, 3 questions will be there, okay, and out of 3 you have to answer only 1 question. There will be no problem of any group. There will be no any restriction of any group. Okay, only 3 questions will be there. But students of class 10 of West Bengal Board of Secondary Education, please give your concentration, please give your attention. That is for group E, which will carry, each question will carry 8 marks. You have to attempt only one answer, 1 question. And from chapter number 1 and from chapter number 8, no 8 marks of question would come. Please listen very carefully. From chapter number 1 and chapter number 8, no 8 marks of question will come. question would appear from chapter number 2 to chapter number 7. From 6 chapters, 8 marks of question, 3 questions of 8 marks would come. Now please see, from chapter number 1, 8 marks of question is not coming. From chapter number 2 or 3, 1 question would be there. Either from chapter number 2 or from chapter number 3, 1 question would come. That means from chapter number 2 or 3, 1 question would come. From chapter 4 or 5, 1 question would come. For example, question may appear from chapter number 4 or question may appear from chapter number 5. If we talk of chapter number 6 or 7, 6 and 7, so 1 question may appear from chapter number 6 and 1 question may appear from chapter number 7. So this is the distribution of question from chapters. Students generally, they don't concentrate, they just labor hard blindly. That would not serve your purpose. Before preparing, as I have told you in my previous video, that you have to prepare very methodically, very scientifically. Then only you can get good marks in history. Best of luck. Thank you very much.